Okay, and we are back just in time to see Ritzy complete what looks to be his third flying lap, and he improves by about 4/10 in that Renault to go P5 at the moment. Currently top of the boards. While we were away, one of my drivers, number one FinFan, goes to the top of the board just in front of Brown 3 with 119.6. That was on his second lap on the set of softs. I don't know about you, Chandler, but I gave these guys pretty specific instructions for what to do during the qualifying session. You give you guys any advice?
I did give them something that I asked them to do, and that was to drop the rear wing a little bit compared to usual. Usual, it's around a 6 this game on the rear. I told them drop it down to at minimum, or at maximum, I should say, a 5, maybe a 4. Probably not a 3, but around a 4 or 5, just to help claw back a little bit of that straight line speed. But nothing on a toe.
Yeah, that's kind of what I told my guys to do. Zaizu has not had a whole lot of track time tonight to warm up, so I basically told him to just burn his first set of tires this session. Just do as many laps as he feels like he needs to get comfortable on one set of softs, and then go from there in Q2, throw on a new set and go set a banger out at the end. So that's what he's been doing so far. FinFan has had some track time, which is obvious. They're being P2 to only Taylor at the moment, which looks like they are not going to start from the back. Taylor is at the top of the timesheets right now.
Yep, so judging by that, I assume Burapps will also be setting a time in this session. But I would not be surprised if it will not be P2 this session, or any session really, because even though that Red Bull is the second best car on paper, certain tracks might not suit the best, and a track with tons of straights like Italy, we could see the Racing Points maybe pull up and maybe clinch a first row.
We could possibly, however, considering Taylor is up there on Cage 9617, replacing BRL Phantom. We'll see what he's made of. He's currently in P9, so doing pretty well for a first outing for the Mercedes team at the moment. But yes, you're exactly right. That Honda power unit and sometimes even the Renault power unit lacking a little bit on occasion. You know that old saying, and I said it a few weeks ago, there is no replacement for displacement. You got a bigger engine, the car is just going to go faster. That's pretty simple. And I say bigger engine, more powerful is actually the correct way of putting that, but you get the idea.
Yes.
Looking here at Deer Hunter on his second flying lap. Looks like he's actually already completed one lap on this set of tires. He is 3.5 up on his time. This is going to be interesting to see who can break out of that bottom 4 cars, because the Alfa Romeos, Haas, and Williams cars, performance-wise, are not all that far apart on average, but the Williams has one distinct advantage in having that Mercedes engine over the two other cars, which are powered by the Ferrari engine. So I would not be shocked to see at least 2 of those cars get beat by both Williams.
Yeah, the Williams drivers, they are a pretty good duo for that team, and so come on that with the Mercedes engine. I can expect to see one of them maybe getting out of the bottom 5, or in this case, this week, the bottom 4. Maybe both of them, but I think that would just more depend on if someone doesn't steady lap like Fern right now.
Indeed.
But yeah, I also wouldn't be surprised if it's the 2 Alfa Romeos for sure in the bottom 5, along with Unknown Ute. So,
and we have Burapps out on his first flying lap of the session with only 7 minutes remaining for the Red Bull. He's got 1 car ahead of him, so he may be getting a little bit closer here, picking up a toe down that back straightaway if this car is on a flying lap. It's one of the Alfa Romeos. I'm not sure who that is in front of him. I think that is Rhodes, actually, so he is a good bit quicker than Rhodes. Get a little bit of gravel off of that second chicane into the first Lesmo. He's going to gain a lot of time on him through here. And then, yep, Rhodes pulls right out of the way, so he's on a cool-down lap. That's going to release Burapps into the rest of this circuit. We will see where the Red Bull slots out. His teammate, Broken Reptile, who is in for Wyborn right now, currently in the pits, not on a lap, but sitting P13. So we got a real Verstappen and Albon situation over Red Bull tonight, it appears. Burapps setting a little bit of a scruffy lap, but it's still clean. And that's the important thing right now. That car is plenty fast enough to get out of the session on its own merit, even without the fastest lap it could do. Coming around the Parabolica turn Corner number 11 here. Only 11 corners at this track, very short. Goes to P2, so still got a good bit of grunt coming out of that Honda.
Yeah, he's got a lot of time that lap. It was clean, but he left a lot of time with not using up as much track as he could. That was a really conservative lap. But if he gets him through, he gets him through. The only fastest lap that matters is the last lap in Q3, so.
Indeed. Or possibly in Q2, depending upon where your car's performance is and where you're sliding into this pecking order. So, currently, bottom 4 drivers, Deer Hunter, Unknown Ute, SF1 Rhodes, and Payox Remix. So both Alphas currently sitting at the bottom of the table, as well as one of the Haas's and one of the Williams. Broken Reptile coming out of the pits on an outlap, so we're going to hop over to Burap's teammate, Reptile, and see exactly what he can do in this car. Reptile's a pretty solid driver, maybe not the quickest, but he can certainly do what he needs to. Currently, the man on the bubble got about 0.09 of a second over Deer Hunter in P15 at the moment. Doesn't need to do a ton to jump up a couple of extra spots. He's got Joe and Zampa directly in front of him, as well as, well, pretty much he's got Joe directly in front of him, and there's about a 3/4 gap up to Zampa. So doesn't need to really improve that much to get himself a little more secure.
Just gonna send Remix an invite back. Seems like he may have disconnected or something.
Ooh.
So I've got him an invite back.
Thank you for doing that. And here comes Broken Reptile out of the Parabolica onto the main straightaway here. We're going to do an onboard lap with this particular driver as he tries to claw his way back up the order. Down the front straightaway, 340 kilometers per hour. That's approximately about 210 miles an hour. Just at the 100-meter board, hitting the brakes and then turning into the Retifigo chicane, turns 1 and 2. Very slow, very tight chicane. Hard on the throttle out of here. Keeps it nice and straight, though, up to the Curva Grande. This is just a really gentle curve because of that chicane. Keeping it to the right-hand side to maximize the time gained, and then, again, right at the 100-meter board into the second chicane.
Ooh,
Not running too wide.
Yeah, the Mercedes he just went by there. Looks like he may have had a spin or something. There's yellow flags.
Yeah, Cage is Cage was off the side of the track there, and I'm not really sure why. He's already done the 6th best lap at a 19.7, so I gotta feel like he's pretty solid and pretty safe there, being in the 19s. Not too much danger of him getting eliminated anyway. So looking at Broken Reptile, he is about a half a second up on his previous best time, coming through the Ascari chicane onto the penultimate straightaway, heading down towards the Parabolica. So he is going to improve quite handsomely here and get himself probably around 10th or maybe even 9th position, depending upon how this last corner goes into the Parabolica. Very tidy entrance to the corner, not running out too wide on the exit. I would have liked to see him cut back a little more on the exit and try and reduce that time just a little bit more, but it's not going to matter. He goes P11, so he is going to be a little bit safer now.
Yeah, I reckon he will be into Q2 with that. I think around P13 onward, ones that could consider going out again.
Yeah, you got to think that Ryan's definitely got a little bit more in the tank, considering his teammate's currently in P4. We know Ryan does this every week. He kind of just sits back in Q1, doesn't burn up his stuff, and then turns up the wick. So both the Williams, again, going out right here. Currently P15 and P16. This time Joe's the car in front. So maybe trying to tow Deer Hunter along a little bit and see if they can't slingshot him up the order. Got 2 minutes remaining in the session, so there's only going to be time for them to do 2 laps. So this is going to be kind of nip and tuck. And they're not going very quickly, so they maybe want to get a move on if they want to, because currently Joe's in P15, so if Deer Hunter improves by about 0.2 of a second or more, that's going to knock his teammate down. And that's not exactly what they want. So we are going to focus right here on Joe and see if he improves on his lap, or if Deer Hunter stays that close behind him the entire way, and they are in fact going on flying laps like this. Looks like they're only going to go for the 1, though. So if I were Deer Hunter, I don't think I'd want to be that close behind my teammate, especially through the second sector here. It is a very fast, very straight track in a lot of places, but through those two Lesmo corners, you can lose a lot of time, and through the Parabolica, being stuck behind another car just due to the aerodynamics. So they look to be spacing out a little bit here, and also New Zealand Ryan on that penultimate straightaway as well. Joe going to be the first man to start his final flying lap here, it looks like. Followed by Deer Hunter, and then by New Zealand Ryan, who has got what looks to be SSR Zampa, actually just behind Deer Hunter. I think Ryan overtook Deer Hunter.
Zampa was actually on a lap there, and he just marginally improved by half a tenth there. He had quite the mistake in the first corner, but he was able to carry enough speed.
Indeed. So we're just going to do a quick check on all of our drivers. So currently, Aus Formula P10, Zampa in P14, number 1 FinFan P3, and ARS Zizu in P9. So all of our drivers currently in the safe zone. Only 3 teams at risk. Deer Hunter and Joe for the Williams team, P15 and P16, both at risk here, as well as Unknown Ute and both of the Alfa Romeos. So I know that B-Dunk is managing the Haas team. They've only got 1 car, I think, here.
Yep, they've only have 1 car out today, so.
Okay, so they've only got 1 car here,
Joe
and he is out of the session already.
Joe's a 10th off his time now. He's going to have a really good last sector here to have any chances of getting through.
And he's invalidated.
Deer is marginally up on his lap time right now, but again, it'll take quite the last sector to get himself out.
Off the final corner, cleanly cuts to the right-hand side of the circuit. Taking as much as possible, no improvement, 0.006 of a second slower. We're going to look back here, Payox and Rhodes both out, so that is it, folks. Joe F1, the last guy to squeak through at a 121.173. His teammate, first guy eliminated at a 121.376. Followed by Unknown Ute 25 in the Haas, out of the session already at a 121.368, so only 1,000th of a second slower than Deer Hunter. And then the 2 Alfa Romeos rounding out the grid in P18 and P19, SF1 Rhodes and Payox Remix. Everybody else lives to fight another day, and we will see you back here in just a second for Q2. Still got about 1.5 minutes on the session timer before everything times out. So Chandler, what did you make of that session? Just the usual people kind of surviving?
Yeah, it was what you'd expect. The Alfa Romeos, Haas, and Williams at the bottom. Yeah, unsurprisingly, the 3 Ferrari-powered cars of the lower midfield, they're all in the back. There's nothing they can really do about it with that power deficit, but after that, it's just your usual Q1 appearances from everyone else.
Indeed. Mean Fern doing 5 laps on his best set of tires there, so really chunking out a lot of laps. Not sure if he's not had a lot of practice or if he's just trying to get a few more reps in here. Taylor Clan setting the best time of the session up at the top with a 118.9, followed by ABR Burrups at a 119.303, FinFan at a 19.601, Brown 300 at a 19.650, and Boss Cookie at a 19.667. Very tight at the top of the field, 3rd through 9th place, so between, actually bookended by the racing points, split by about 0.4 of a second. Not too shabby, if I do say so myself there, for that gap between the back of the podium and the back of the points. Of course, New Zealand Ryan did improve there to a 120.0, so we can lump him into that as well, and then it's got a little bit of a gap back to your first car of Aus Formula.
Yeah, Aus Formula only did the 1 run in that session, so he surely has some more pace. And then Zampa, my other Ferrari driver, he had a good few mistakes in his lap, so luckily he was able to get through with that, of course. But they're not the only ones with pace left on the board, so it might be tough for the Ferraris in getting into Q3.
Speaking of Q3, here we are in Q2, which is going to decide the 10 drivers that will be in that top 10 shootout. And take over for just a second. Zizu appears to have bungled something, so I have to step in for just a moment. All right, so Chandler, I don't know about you, but what I originally told my guys here was for FinFan, because he's got practice on the board, to pretty much go full send and try to get into Q3 as high as possible, make sure he gets up into that session on hopefully the first run, if not the second run. Zizou was actually supposed to start on the medium tires, but it appears we have lost that option. So they are both going to be shooting for Q3 here. What about your guys? Just trying to get as high in that outside of the top 10 area as possible?
The goal is to get both cars in Q3. They both have the pace, but of course with these cars, not being the equal cars, they don't run them. Most of these drivers don't run them, but this point in the week and no other time, so it's hard to be consistent with them, but the goal is to get both cars in Q3 on the soft tire.
Indeed, the only two Ferrari power units left in the field belonging to the factory cars. Aside from that, you've got 4 Renaults, you've got 6 Mercedes, and 4 Hondas. First out on the track, it looks like we do have one of your Ferraris. We're going to look at Aus Formula here as he comes through the Parabolica to start his first flying lap of the session here. Coming down towards the start-finish line, what can he do to haul his way into Q3 and get the best start position possible for his race? A little bit of a lockup into turn 1, not really going to slow him down too much. Misses the apex just a little bit for turn 2 there as Cage gets out of the way in front of him. Cage stopping on track, buddy, you can't do that.
He could find himself disqualification from the game if you stop. The game does not like it when you do stuff like that, so he's really risking it there.
No, it does not, and he could also draw the ire of the stewards for stopping on track as well. It's not exactly something that is smiled upon in any session, as Aus Formula gets a little bit sideways out of the eggs in the first Lesmo and the second there. Definitely trying to wring as much as possible out of his Ferrari as possible, trying to get a little bit of toe off the car in front. That is Brown Thriener in the Alpha Tauri on his outlap. Into the Ascari chicane, so far he is looking pretty tidy, aside from just being a little bit sideways.
Yeah, the first chicane looked a bit poor, but the Ascari in the second chicane looks good. So he could
into the Parabolica, catches a little bit of that inside curve, cuts it over to the right-hand side. That's what you need to do out of that final corner, minimize that distance to the start-finish line. It's going to be a 1:19.683, so a good improvement from his Q1 time. He's got to be happy with that lap.
Yeah, Ryan only going about 0.2 quicker, so that kind of confirms just how good of a lap that might be for that car.
Indeed. As Ryan now gets out of the way after giving his teammate a tow, finishing his lap so his teammate can start his lap behind him, Brown Thriener. Dropping in behind his teammate, and we're going to keep an eye on Brown Thriener and see how close he can get to Ryan here. These two actually at Spa were not that far apart, which is surprising. Brown Thriener's not exactly a slouch of a driver, but to be that as close as he is to New Zealand Ryan even shocks me a little bit. As it looks like Taylor actually is going for the medium start, interestingly enough.
I'm seeing a few drivers that have selected the medium tire as of now, so we could be seeing a few people starting the medium tire today.
We could, and that could create some chaos down into turn 1 here, as we're looking at Brown Thriener. Looking like a pretty good lap so far, not gonna lie. He's coming down towards the Parabolica right now, so we'll find out exactly how close he can get to his teammate here in just a moment. Yellow flag sector 2, one of the Ferraris just going a little bit slowly. I don't think there's anything about
Yeah,
it
no,
there.
he actually kind of lost it at the second chicane. He broke his entire wing off.
Ooh. Trying a little too hard, maybe.
He went a little deep, and then that compromised the right-hander, and then he just jumped the curb a little bit and launched him into the wall, basically. But luckily, the tires are still in the car, so he will be able to get back into the pits and do another run.
Indeed. So, current rundown of your order here. We got 3 cars that have set times on the medium. Cage actually doing very close to Taylor's time in the Mercedes. Only about 0.4 between those two, so that's interesting. That's the closest we've seen the Mercedes pairing in a long time since the arrival of Phantom. New Zealand Ryan still at the top of the board with a 19.497, followed by FinFan, Aus Formula, ARS, Zizou. So the Racing Points both doing very good laps here to get under a minute and 20 seconds at the start of the session. Interesting to see what they can do later on as things start to pick up a little bit. Brown 3 currently P5, so both Alpha Tauris, both Racing Points, and a Ferrari in the top 5, followed by ARS Sainz, who the man finally got a decent car. The man's been cruising around in the Williams for I don't know how long, just dragging the hell out of that car. Got into it last week, was running in the points and doing brilliantly so, and just lost it. Very unfortunate for him. Hopefully he has a little bit better luck this week. Following him are both of the Mercedes cars on the medium tire, Ritzy Raccoon and Mean Fern, and the Renaults on the soft, and then a Broken Reptile on the medium as well, who I don't think he had the best of laps there at a 1:34.3, but I could be mistaken.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go ahead and say maybe he backed off.
Yeah, maybe he's got a little more in the tank than that.
Also, something to note, Taylor has selected the soft tire as of now, so, and with him being down P7 with multiple people yet to set laps, I wouldn't be surprised if he goes back out on the soft tire and sets a lap.
Yeah, if I were the Mercedes guys, I would just kind of have that as an insurance policy, just already selected in case some of these guys towards the back. Joe's obviously not going to be much of a threat to them. Zampa probably, let's be honest, is not getting out of this session. Burraps will probably jump into the top 10, as will Boss Cookie. So it is possible for them to get knocked out of the session, but I don't think it's likely. And as I say that, Mean Fern splits them in the Renault. So Mean Fern, again, running multiple laps on the same set of tire. That's actually the third lap on that set of tires, and he picked up by 0.8 over his previous time, so I'm not sure if he was just out there running around trying to get a feel for things, but the Renault driver improving quite substantially. Gonna jump down to Boss Cookie again as he comes through the Parabolica here. ABR Burrups now to the top of the session with a 118.8. So that was quicker than Taylor's time in the last session. That's going to put Cage on the outside as Cookie goes second with a 19.478. Second fastest lap of the session. That's going to put one of the Mercedes out of the top 10 already. So definitely I think that is going to make the decision for both of those drivers. Mercedes looking a little bit on the back foot here on that medium tire. So now we jump down to Cookie's teammate ARS Sainz, who has invalidated a lap. He's probably going to be coming in here, although he does have the ERS turned on. I'm not sure why. That's very curious.
You can tell by Joe's lap that it really is just of the bottom 3 teams, whoever's lucky to get through is just really battling those 4 or 5 other drivers.
It's not even. It's almost not even worth running in Q2 for them, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah.
It's really almost just worth retiring from the session right off the bat, because unless they get super lucky, they're not going to get but maybe a position or two, and it's ultimately they're going to immediately lose those off the start more than likely anyway. So they're going to have to rely more on strategy and attrition to gain points than raw speed like some of these front-running teams. Now the interesting thing as we get into the race session, because we can see the tires that everybody is going to be starting on here, as I've got the best tire graphic already selected. Everybody except for the Mercedes and Broken Reptile, who's actually out on an outlap. Let me see exactly what tire he's on here. He is out on the soft tire, so we're going to expect to see a lot of improvement, obviously, considering he did a 134 start the session. But interesting to see where he jumps up to, probably inside of the top 10. Both the Mercedes now out on the soft tire as well, so they have decided that it's a little too close for comfort right now with those mediums, and they're just going to go out there and go ahead and set a lap on the soft, even though that's not the optimal strategy for them that they feel. And we just had an Alpha Tauri start a lap. That was Brown Threener, or he just finished a lap actually. Doesn't look like he really improved at all. So, we're going to ride along with Taylor, fastest man all season in this Mercedes. As you would expect, he's a pretty quick driver in and of his own ability in the quickest car. So he is your current championship leader. Let's see what he can do. We're going to ride along with him coming through the Curva Grande. Going to come up on 300, coming towards his second chicane. 300 staying to the left-hand side of the road as Taylor brakes very smoothly, very efficiently into that chicane. Boy, it must be nice to just have a car advantage on the next guy. It must make you just feel like Superman.
Yeah, that Mercedes is nearly a league ahead of anyone else out there, so just makes it a breeze for the Mercedes drivers.
I wouldn't exactly say a breeze. He's still got to get up on the chip and drive the thing, but fastest sector 2 of the session right there. So that is heading in the right direction for Taylor. Coming on to the penultimate straightaway up towards the parabolic. He's got nothing but clear air, so nobody in his way, nobody can ruin this lap. He's going to get his way up into Q2 pretty effectively here. His teammate's got some clear road, but he's got about 5 cars that are running relatively slowly, possibly trying to start a lap. Taylor's coming up to the line. He's going to do a 1:18.9, so that's going to put him P2 to Burap's by about half a tenth, 3/4 of a tenth.
You know, something interesting here is Burap's is out on the medium. He might be going to the pits. Okay, he is. Never mind. That was just to give Reptile a slipstream then. That's what that was.
Yeah, probably not wanting to ruin one of his race tires doing so. As Cage now comes around the final corner, what can the second Mercedes do? Is he going to get under the minute 20 mark? He is 1:19.6, so that's going to put him just in front of Osformel and behind Brown Threener, and that is going to put him into Q3 quite solidly, I feel like. I think, unless the Renaults and ARS Science can improve drastically, we're not really going to see much change to that order, as we see actually Cage running straight on at the first chicane, not wanting to get in the way of the Renault behind, so he just takes the escape road there, goes through the bollards, doesn't hit any of them actually, so that's quite impressive. He didn't even damage one of them. As Mean Fern goes by, Mean Fern currently in P12, and I believe he's on a fresh set of soft tires here. He is in fact, as is his teammate who is on an outlap just a little bit farther up the road. Ritzy coming through the Ascari chicane. Mean Fern coming out of the second Lesmo, so they're not getting a tow from each other here unless Mean Fern's going to give Ritzy one. Ritzy is about 3/10 slower than his teammate currently and got one of the racing points just ahead. I hope they get out of the way. That would not be a very good look for us, as he does get out of the way on the exit of the Ascari chicane. Mean Fern running as wide as he can to try and maximize the speed out of that chicane onto the penultimate straightaway. Coming up to Parabolica, we will see exactly what he can do. I did not see the split time because I was a little bit too focused on the car ahead. What is it going to be? Can he claw his way back into that top 10? No. 1.7 seconds off his best time. What on earth happened there? So now we're going to focus on his teammate. His teammate is already 3/10 up through the first sector split. So Ritzy Raccoon looking to possibly be in Q3, and his teammate might be out. Wouldn't that be a bit of a coup? As Ritzy runs a little bit wide on the exit of the second Lesmo, does not invalidate though, so that's good for him. Maybe lost a little bit of drive down this straightaway up towards the second split. What's it gonna be? He is 4/10 up now, so still gaining through that sector overall. And now he is going to have a clear run to the start-finish line. Got a couple of cars moving kind of slowly. Guys, you got to get out of the way. You can't be running all over the track. You got to move into one lane like that. Thank you very much. They stay out of the way of the banana on rocket fuel. Coming up towards the line, what is Ritzy going to be able to do? Can he get out of the doldrums? He does. He gets to P10. That's going to be just good enough unless anybody else can improve. ARS Science is about to start his final... No, he's not going to start his final flying lap. He's out of time. The session timer is about to reach 0, so flying laps will count, and he is not going to get there in time. And Broken Reptile also P12 in the Red Bull. So it looks to me as SSR Zampa is on his only flying lap of the session here. Does not have a time yet. What can the second Ferrari do? Can he
Yeah,
get up there close to his
he's
teammate?
actually very disadvantaged right now because I told him to put in 6 kilos of fuel in case he invalidates his first run, which he did. So this is his second flying lap on these tires.
Actually, it showed the graphic. That may be true, but the graphic showing 0. So
Yeah,
what is you?
it's
Y'all got a terrible.
incorrect.
Yeah, y'all got a terrible tracking system for this. Anyway, so we'll see what Zampa can do if he can at least pick up a few spots. He'll at least get Joe, I think, on this lap.
Yeah, a few positions would be right here. What is it going to be? Just to one.
One position, but hey, it's still something. So
The
five drivers eliminated in this session: ARS Science, Broken Reptile, Mean Fern, Tier 1 driver eliminated in Q2 for the Renault team. His teammates slipping through in P10, SSR Zampa and Joe F1 in P15. So the 10 drivers that will fight for pole are ABR Burraps, Taylor Clan 2008, number 1 FinFan 72, Boss Cookie, New Zealand Ryan, Brown Threener, Aus Formula, Cage 9617, ARS Zizu, and Mr. Ritzy Raccoon, the Raccoon on a tricycle. All right, so Chandler, everybody elected to start on the soft tire here with those lap times. Nobody able to make it into Q3 on the medium. So everybody's going to be on a level playing field. Do you think that is going to create some maybe slightly interesting situations down to turn 1 now that we don't have those guys who are planning on going longer in the start of the race?
I don't really think so. I think the interesting things will come with the back half of the field. I saw nearly everyone, all but one in the bottom half, start on the medium, so we could possibly see something like that again today, where pretty much everyone in the bottom half starts medium, and that could end up playing a factor in the second half of the race.
Indeed it could. So, only about 3/4 of a tenth between the top 2 cars, and then about a half-second gap back to number 1 FinFan in P3 for that session. Between Taylor and Burraps, if you had to pick one, who's your money on here?
Even though Burraps did have the better time this session, I definitely think it will be Taylor this session. I think that was not his full pace last session, so I expect a few more tenths out of him this session.
I would have to agree with that. Taylor has probably not got that Mercedes turned up all the way. We know he's been able to put in some blistering laps, especially in Q3. The man just seems to find another gear, and he is looking like he's going to be one of the first cars out here in Q3. Actually, no, one of the Renaults. Actually, no, one of your car is actually the first one out. Aus Formula, followed by Taylor. Then looks like it's going to be the McLaren of Boss Cookie, and then the Renault of Ritzy Rec. No, never mind. I'm apparently wrong. Both of the Alpha Tauris going out next. Get the graphics up here so we can see what the heck's going on. So both the Alpha Tauris, then Ritzy Raccoon finally getting out of his box, followed by the Racing Point of number 1 FinFan. 3 cars deciding to remain in the pits and not get involved in the mess, as ARS Zizu now leaves the pit lane to begin his outlap. So that leaves just one Red Bull of ABR Burraps and Cage at 9617 in the pit lane waiting to start their laps. Cage may be waiting to give his teammate some good slipstream down one of these straightaways. Alright, so Aus Formula, first man to start a lap here as the second Mercedes is going out. It looks like he's actually not going to get out in front of his teammates, so I think that was a little bit botched there. If that was the plan, he is well behind Taylor on track here as Aus Formula now exits the first chicane. Taylor's actually got some, he's got one of the McLarens for company behind him. That's going to be Boss Cookie hanging on to the back of that Mercedes and just trying to get as much tow as possible. Interesting strategy from Boscook, but let's see if it pans out for him. The McLaren with that Renault engine, maybe not the quickest in a straight line, but he does have the fastest car in a straight line as far as engine power right in front of him, and it looks like Taylor is in fact pulling on him, so that's not going to be good for Boscookie as this lap goes on. He's just going to continue to get more and more dirty air and less benefit from the slipstream.
Yeah, last game the following tactic would work on occasion if you are substantially slower than the car ahead. But in this game, not so much. It really does just hurt you more than anything. The track that was most beneficial on was at Britain, and this is not Britain, so it's just going to be even worse here. So he's really just losing more than he's gaining.
Indeed. Kind of makes me miss the days of the early 2000s, or as they refer to them, the early noughties, when single car qualifying was a thing. So Aus Formula sets first lap time of the session to 1:19.484. Taylor Crown immediately to a 1:18.624. Boscook to a 1:19.3, splitting the two of them only about a tenth quicker than Aus Formula. Ryan in the Alpha Tauri up to P3. Next car across the line is going to be Ritzy at a 1:20.4, and then the racing point of number 1 FinFan. Actually, he invalidated, so he's going into the pits to re-rack and go again. That's not exactly what we needed to see out of him tonight. As did Zizou, so both of my cars invalidating the first laps. It just seems to me we get to Q3 every week and we just choke it away with the probably third fastest car. Zizou may have loaded up for 2 laps, though. He's going again here. So we will see exactly what he has in store here before FinFan. FinFan only loading up for 1 lap. So these two have kind of been left to their own devices tonight. Normally I'm right in their ear telling them exactly what to do. Looks like they decided to hedge their bets as far as fuel loads on this first run. Looking at one of the guys here, as Cage has invalidated his first lap, he's turned down the ERS now, so he will probably be gearing up for another go here. Not sure where he invalidated that lap, but not a good start to the session for the Mercedes driver. A lot of traffic right now.
Yeah, that back straight is really congested with cars.
It definitely is.
This is going to leave 3 drivers, maybe even 4, depending on what Zizou's ends his lap like. And yet right there would be an invalidation.
Yep, so Zizou has invalidated his second lap as number 1 FinFan goes out. He actually locks up into the chicane. Man, come on your out lap, really?
He's just doing a Hulkenberg, that's all. Yeah, that leaves 4 drivers with invalidated lap time after their first runs here in Q3 then.
Indeed. We always kind of have this philosophy that the first run is just a banker. You just want to make sure you get a nice clean lap in, get a time on the board, and then unleash the demon on the next run. So none of these 4 drivers have managed to do that. Cage 9617, Brown 3er, ARS Zizou, or number 1 FinFan. Definitely the Racing Point team expecting a bit more out of that first run than being bottom of the order. If FinFan plays this correctly, he could have a good shot at being the last man running on that last run, which with track evolution could possibly play right into his hands. He's definitely shown a lot of speed so far this qualifying session, averaging pretty much being 3rd fastest. Here he comes up out of the final corner to start his lap. We'll see if he can manage to keep it between the white lines and on the island this time around. He's going to have a clear track. Everybody else is in the pits, so nobody is going to get in his way on this lap. Runs it very tight through the first chicane. Almost invalidates it, but keeps it clean. Down to the second chicane. Hopefully he keeps it a little bit more between the lines. Not too much curb through here. That makes me a little bit nervous as his manager going through that first chicane like that.
Ooh.
Gets it in the dirt. That's not oh. Did he load up for 2 laps? I would like to see him finish this lap.
He's turned off his ERS here.
I'd like to have seen him finish this lap at least, because he'll at least get ahead of Ritzy and possibly Ryan and Aus Formula. I know he's capable of those times that the top 2 have set. Obviously, in time trial, you're going to lose a couple of tenths coming to the actual race session, but I know what he's capable of, and he is capable of at least getting himself out of the bottom 5.
Hard
so he's
to say
going to
if
go
he
for
is.
one more lap.
And we'll just have to
He
wait
is
and see.
gonna go-
He is. He's turned his ERS back on, so that definitely signifies he is.
He is going for one more lap, and he will have time he will have time to go back into the pits at about 3 minutes, reload, and then he's going to have to book it, but he'll be able to get one more run in if he needs it.
He'll be right on the limit here.
He will. 1:23.3, that at least moves him out of the bottom 3 in the session so far, but is the slowest of the drivers that have set a time. Coming up to the start-finish line, his teammate actually invalidated the outlap. Doesn't matter. He's going to start probably what is going to be his final flying lap. Unless he invalidates, he may duck back in and do one last-ditch effort to try and get a time in. As Cage behind him as well, also starting a flying lap. Brown Threener on an outlap. He is only going to get one in, I think, as he is on an outlap. Cuts across the second chicane there, so that may draw the eyes of the stewards a little bit. You're not allowed to do that. We're going to focus back up on FinFan. Currently 2.5 seconds up on that time he has already got on the board. Still green.
Ooh.
And he invalidates it. Oh, come on, Finn.
Yeah, he initially had a good entry into the Ascari. He took just as much curb as he can before invalidating, so it was really good, but then he just did not slow the car down.
Got greedy.
Yeah, he just did not slow it down enough.
All right, so he's going to duck back into the pits. He's got 3 minutes left. He should be able to get out and get another lap in, but it is going to be real nip and tuck as far as time goes. Looking back down here at ARS Zizou, he has also invalidated his lap, so he is going to have to probably run a second lap. He's got the ERS on, so he will probably... No, he heads for pit lane as well, so both the Racing Points going to have to do a last-ditch effort to even get a time in here.
You know what? This actually may not be good for the Racing Points because he's going to come in just as FinFan was going to need to go out, so they might be able to get out, but this is just going to tighten it up for them even more.
It is, in fact, going to do exactly that. They should be able to both get out with about 1:40 seconds remaining. By the time they get to the end of the pit lane, should be about a minute and 30, so they're going to have to really crank everything up. However, Brown Threener again cutting across the second chicane there as we cut to him. Cage has set a lap at a 1:19.5 in the Mercedes, so that at least gets him up a little bit higher in front of Ritzy and FinFan. And right on the back of Oz Formula. Oz Formula doing an incredible job right now in P5 in that Ferrari. That just shows, that goes to show, just setting the lap is sometimes all you need to do.
Yeah, and he is only a 10th off of the provisional P3 right now. Of course, many drivers could improve both Racing Points out there. But it just shows that, yeah, just hooking up the lap is all it takes around here.
Not even hooking up the lap, just getting a decent lap on the board. This is what drives me nuts about a lot of drivers, personally, is that they think that they have to go 100% of the time, and you do not. That is honestly going to bite you more than it's going to help you, because you see the case of both of my drivers right here. If they would just go out and set a relatively conservative lap for them, they would be P5 and P6 right now, at the very minimum. But instead, they both... I get that it's qualifying, but the first run always needs to be about getting just a number on the board. A relatively competitive number. It may not it doesn't have to be your fastest lap by any stretch of the imagination. It just has to be on the board.
Ooh. And with that, Ryan's qualifying is done, it seems like. Just had a little mistake in his Ascari and about
yeah,
it. But
and he's not got enough fuel.
He could have fuel.
No, he's not. He's not going to have. He's flashing red.
0.8.
He's flashing red, so he's not going to have enough for another
got
lap. That is the Alpha Tower. He's done. Looking down here at Brown Threener, he's on a flyer. What can he do if he keeps it between the lines? Just barely off the final corner. What's he going to be able to do? Can he get himself up close to Ryan? He does. It's going to be P7, about 4/10 off, but hey, a lap's a lap's a lap. And Brown Threener, his ARS Zizou's qualifying is over. He is invalidated off the exit of turn 2, so he is out of qualifying. Teammate Number 1 Fin Fan still on a lap. Taylor Clan resets fast lap and takes pole with a 1:18.4 at the moment. We're going to look at Burapps in just a second here. He is coming through the second sector, so we'll jump back to him in just a minute. Number 1 Fin Fan keeps it clean through Ascari this time, so now he's just got to navigate the exit of the Parabolica to get himself higher up.
If he just finishes his lap, this is multiple positions to be gained, just guaranteed, based on the competitiveness of that car and the driver.
Indeed. What's he going to do? It's going to be the P6, so just behind your driver and in front of Cage for the Racing Point. He's got 3 laps on those tires, so definitely had a lot more pace than that if he had been able to get the first lap in. So that makes life a little bit more difficult for him, but his teammate made life even more difficult for both of them by not setting a time at all. So now they've got to contend with the likes of Boss Cookie, New Zealand Ryan, Oz Formula, and Cage, all right around them both. Pole position is going to go to Taylor Clan 2008. ABR Burapps looks to have improved to a 1:18.5, so just right on the tail of that Mercedes. But I don't think he's going to have anything for him in the race, because the difference, we saw this last week during a practice session in the Racing Point camp. A Mercedes engine car up the Kemmel Straight, even on the Red Bull, and even on the Alpha Tauri with the same wing settings, just chewed it up and spat it out. So that Red Bull is being absolutely dragged around this circuit to even get close to that time.
Yeah, that was a lot closer than I expected up at the front there. So we could still see a race on our hands, maybe even closer than it was at Spa.
We could see, I don't know if we're going to be able to call it a race. I think it's more of he's going to be trying to hang on to the back of Taylor and get away from the rest of them, which is going to be pretty likely by the speed of that car. But just the straight line speed difference, I don't think he's going to have a chance on a cold day in hell, quite frankly, of passing him.
Yeah, I could see him hanging on in the DRS though. I think it'll be closer than last week though, in terms of if he's got a chance at all. But we'll just have to see.
Indeed, and we'll be back in just a moment for the start of the race, folks. There are your top 10 results for the qualifying session for the Italian Grand Prix here for the realistic tier of BRL. Once again, I am BRL Williams, aka Ferrari Net 94, joined in the booth by Chandler Seda 1. We'll be back in a moment. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Autodromo Nazionale di Monza here in Monza, Italy, close to Milan. Everybody's setting off on their formation lap. We're going to see exactly what tires everybody has decided to start on for this race. Looks like everybody in the top 10 obviously having to start on the soft tire as they qualified. ARS Science, Broken Reptile, and Mean Fern choosing to start on a fresh set of softs, and then Zampa, Joe, Deer Hunter, and Unknown Ute all electing for the medium, with the two alphas behind electing to start on the soft tire. So not as much of a mixed bag at the back as we maybe would have expected to start this race channel.
Yeah, that is less medium runs than I was expecting. The two Williams, again, I expect them to go with the mediums based on last week, and they are. And Ute and Zampa are on the medium. And oddly enough, the two Alfa Romeos on the soft, so maybe they're looking to make up some positions at the start.
It is possible. Turn 1 here is a big deal. A very long run down to turn 1, well over half a kilometer from the start line to turn 1. Very long distance to make moves, and then a very sharp braking point into a very tight chicane. Often see incidents. Hopefully we don't see anybody spinning off to the right-hand side and bowling into the field. Always a danger here at Monza. As they come around towards the final corner of this parade lap, you see right there everybody weaving, trying to get heat in those tires. The other thing that we're going to have to watch out for tonight, based on qualifying and the number of invalidated laps we have seen, is for time penalties for a lot of these drivers.
Yeah, this track is very easy to get warnings. Not necessarily because the track limits are strict, but because of how you have to drive the track. You have to drive over every curb, cut every chicane, and it just leads to inevitably cutting corners. So that's going to be tough on some drivers.
It does indeed. So we're going to watch the back two cars here as they come up towards the grid. Once they have taken their positions at the back of the field, we will jump back up to the lead and watch the start. All right, so now we are just waiting on that lighting gantry to light all the way up. 5 red lights are out, and we are away here in Monza for the realistic tier of BRL. And we see one of the Alpha Towers going very far to the right. I believe that was around 300 New Zealand Ryan right up the front. Looking actually on the inside of the sister car as Boss Cookie makes a move for P3. We're going to pull the graphics back up here now that we've gotten everybody away. Still side by side for the lead of the race. FinFan getting a little sideways out of the chicane there. Going to lose a little bit of momentum down the straightaway and a couple of positions probably. Burap's still fighting. They are still fighting side by side by side. Burap's into the lead, into the second chicane. Going to run a little bit deep. That's going to bottle everybody up on the exit. But Taylor now to the inside as they head up to the Lesmo. That's going to give him the inside line to hit the advantage. Taylor Clan takes back the lead. New Zealand Ryan up to third. Boss Cookie in fourth. Osborne maintains fifth. Cage in sixth. Number one FinFan in seventh. Ritzy, Zizou, and Sainz rounding out the top 10 here. Nobody on the medium making any really big jumps here. Everybody kind of holding station towards the back. Nice and clean first lap, it looks like.
Ooh, no.
Oh, no, Osborne is spun. He is spun off the exit of the Ascari chicane. He's going to drop right down the order. He just looks like he may have hooked the curb and lost the back end. That's very unfortunate. He is going to join without damage at the back of the field, but now he has got all the work to do. That's very unfortunate for him. Alrighty, back up towards the front of the field. A lot of cars ghosting out here. Not sure what's going on there. As Cage, first driver to pick up a 3-second time penalty there for running over the curbs already at the end of lap 1. Graphic showing lap 3. And yeah, the timing graphics all over the place, but Taylor has actually lost the car. Taylor's lost the car, so he's well down the order. He's now just in front of Zizou for P9. Now the racing order appears to be sorting itself out, but now Burap's is in the lead, followed by New Zealand Ryan, followed by Boss Cookie, followed by Cage, FinFan, Ritzy, and then Taylor, who started from pole. So Taylor, again, not having the start he needs to his race to maximize his potential. Looking here at Ritzy, down the second DRS straight up towards the Ascari chicane. Will he get a move on? He does. On the inside, he's going to have that move done through the first left-hander. Now he sets his sight on FinFan ahead as Boss Cookie now overtakes New Zealand Ryan down the penultimate straightaway towards the Parabolica corner for P2. A lot of action. Deer Hunter picking up a 3-second time penalty towards the back. That just shows how easy it is to do here. Got 2 guys already after the first 2 laps with a 3-second time penalty. ABR Burap setting the fastest lap of the race out front with a 122.4.
Ooh, Joe.
We will surely see that fall.
Has had something happen to him in the last corner there.
He has indeed. The Williams has ended up backwards and off the track, and he's now well down the order. You see just up ahead, Payox Remix, Aus Formula already wasting no time getting in front of the Alfa Romeo, trying to make his way back up the field. Meanwhile, back out front, ABR Burraps has broken clear of the DRS of Boss Cookie, so that is huge for his race. If we see a Red Bull win at Monza, something has seriously gone wrong, folks.
Yeah, it will be interesting, though, seeing how Taylor can get back up to the field, because he is in the fastest car, and there's really no other car in front of him nearly as fast as his car, so but it's going to be whether they defend from him or not, and I wouldn't be surprised if they do defend from him, so it'll be interesting.
Well, the 2 cars directly in front of him will not. We have an agreement with the Mercedes team, obviously using the same engine supply, that we're not going to fight them ridiculously because we know that they have a much faster car, and his teammate is directly in front of him as well. So Taylor will probably get a move on FinFan down the front straightaway here, and FinFan's probably just going to let him have it and try to ride his slipstream up to his teammate.
Yep, this is looking like an easy move coming here.
Yep, FinFan moves out of the way, lets Taylor go by.
Both cars say that DRS. Ryan goes past Cookie, turn 1 there.
Indeed. DRS assistance as Cookie now picks up a 3-second time penalty, something he's kind of becoming famous for.
Yeah, this track has always shown just how easy it is to get 3-second time penalties around here. We could see 9, 12, 15 seconds of penalties possibly.
Or more. It is always possible.
And I say that,
so,
Aus Formula made a double overtake into the first corner there. And that's now made him clear the bottom 3 teams, so next person on his sights is Zampa, his teammate.
Indeed, and Zampa is on those medium tires, so you got to imagine that Aus Formula being much quicker as a driver and on those softer tires will make quick inroads on his teammate. Already cutting that gap down a little bit, losing a little bit of time actually through the Lesmo corner, so not the best corner for him there. And actually it looks like Zampa might be pulling away just a little bit, interestingly. Moving back up towards the front of the field, looks like Taylor has caught up to the back of his teammate Cage. He is probably just going to wait till the front straightaway. Yes, indeed he is. And he will probably get a nice wave by here. Oh, Taylor! Oh, he's off in the gravel. Taylor's off in the gravel. Misses the wall by an inch, but he's just, oh my god, what happened there?
His race is really going down.
It is indeed.
That car...
No damage to the car.
That car is driving like it is a full quality setup right there, that's for sure.
Indeed, which that's a shame because he had a real chance to extend his championship lead tonight, and now he's looking like he's going to have to struggle to even really get back close to the front of the field. He's definitely got a quicker car than a lot of the cars in front of him, but if he keeps making mistakes like that, it's not going to benefit him at all. As we got a yellow flag in Sector 1, looks like something going on towards the back of the field there. One of the cars looks like Joe possibly not having somebody getting a little sideways. As looks like ARS Sainz and Brown 3 are going at it here through the Lesmos. Sainz getting around the Alpha Tauri and setting his sights on Ritzy Raccoon ahead. ARS Zizou has actually picked up 3 spots from the start to run in 6th place as Cage picks up a second 3-second time penalty. He's up to 6 seconds. That's going to drop him well down the order because he's got FinFan all up his gearbox, only about a second behind, so still within DRS range. FinFan's going to want to maintain that.
Yeah, just behind them in this midfield battle, it's really getting heated up already. Overtakes being done on the back straight here.
Indeed. So looking at that midfield battle here, ARS Zizou has actually almost gotten out of the DRS range of ARS Sainz, but not quite. So Sainz is going to close up down that front straightaway. So we got a nice big train as looks like Three are making a look for a move. Not going to happen there as Zizou now picks up a 3-second time penalty there.
Sometimes notices Ryan has closed in a couple tenths on Burraps here. Could just be down to the DRS usage, but Ryan.
Well, they're about the same. they're about the same, but remember, that AlphaTauri is a much quicker car. It's basically the polar opposite to its sister car, the Red Bull. It's not that great in the corners, but man, is that thing a rocket ship in a straight line. Not to mention Ryan, we know he loves running those leaned out setups, gets him nice, good drive down the straightaway. Picked up a couple of tenths down that DRS straight even without being in the DRS range. So if he can continue on, as now Taylor just makes his night go from bad to worse with a 3-second time penalty there, as he's already picked up a spot on Meanfern and now on Brown Threener.
Yeah, Brown Threener just made a little mistake out of the start there, and that's just what Taylor threw right there. So.
Indeed, but still can't be picking up time penalties if you want to make your way back up. He's now got ARS Sainz about 1.2 seconds up the road from him. Ryan still holding status quo at about 1.6 seconds behind ABR Burraps in the race lead. So everything's still relatively tight. As now, what has gone on with Zizou? Zizou has, that may just be, they're fighting for position. Okay, I thought that they had a little more space between them. Never mind. So Zizou and Sainz fighting over P6 currently in the race point McLaren respectively. Sainz really showing what he's made of here after being moved up, as now Ryan gets a 3-second penalty.
Yeah, these 3-second time penalties are really being handed out like candy on Halloween night here. It's more of just going to be a quest of not getting a penalty at this rate.
Indeed it is. It can play such a huge impact at the end of the race. Case in point, Season 1, Mexico, I was something like 22 seconds off the race lead at the end of the race, and just by virtue of time penalties, ended up less than a second from winning by having no penalties. As now Brown Threener picks up a 3-second time penalty running down in P9, so that would drop him currently out of the points. It's yes, racing's all well and good, but man, you gotta keep those penalties off or else you're just gonna lose positions hand over fist. So the top three have broken away from everybody, as now Cage is coming under fire from FinFan. FinFan's got DRS, he's gonna breeze by the factory Mercedes down the first straightaway like he's sitting still. Easy move, FinFan to P4, Cage to P6, Sainz around the other racing point into turn 1 as well. So Zizou drops P7, ARS Sainz up to P6 in the McLaren. As looks like Threener getting a little sideways out of the first chicane there. That's going to lose him some time to Taylor ahead. He's now outside of the DRS zone, so that's going to break up that DRS train a little bit. Cage trying to stick close to FinFan for P4 here, losing a little bit of time. He is out of DRS range. So that Mercedes not handling the way he wants, as Unknown Mute now picks up a 3-second time penalty a little further back. I think Cage maybe just kept inside of the DRS range, but he's going to lose momentum down the front or down the back straightaway here. He does have DRS, but lost time out of that second Lesmo. FinFan with about 2 seconds of clear track in front of him. His car is going to handle much better than Cage's. As Cage gets a bit of a scruffy run through Ascari there, holds it about 0.6 of a second. He's going to have a bit of a slipstream and DRS down that front straightaway unless he just absolutely botches the final corner here. Looking up ahead, Boss Cookie and New Zealand Ryan both on 3 seconds of time penalties. Still relatively close. Cookie about 2/3 of a second behind. Going to have DRS here on the AlphaTauri ahead, but the AlphaTauri is a very slippery car in a straight line, so he's not going to gain a ton as they head down towards turn 1. Chandler, are you seeing anything that Fern is making a move on Brown 3 and down front.
Yeah, we got Taylor on Zizou and Fern on the AlphaTauri.
Indeed, Taylor moving back up into P7 in front of the racing point. Now he sets his sights on ARS Sainz ahead of him in the McLaren. That'll probably be a pretty easy move considering how easily he got by the similarly engined racing point behind him.
And something I noticed is Ritchie decides to pit a little bit early and go to the hard tire. The hard tire is not a great tire here at all. Strategy is soft to medium, so it's really interesting to go to the hard. But if you can manage the pace and you can stay in DRS, the hard will eventually, towards the last few laps of the race, become the better tire. So it could end up playing in his favor if he can keep the pace up.
Indeed, but he's also going to have to contend with the cars in front of him who are used. They're a little bit slower, and they are on used tires, and they may slow him down just a little bit unless he can dispatch with them very quickly. As the car directly in front of him, SF1 Rhodes, actually spins out of the way at the exit of the second chicane. Rhodes gets it righted and back going again without any damage. Another driver that's pitted actually is Oz Formula. He's already gone to the medium tires, so pitting a little bit early maybe As FinFan now picks... Oh,
Ooh.
FinFan picked up a 5-second time penalty for speeding the pit lane. Come on, Gray. Come on, Gray. And Deer Hunter, another 3-second time penalty for speeding, or for multiple warnings. A lot of these guys going... actually, Cage electing the hard tire as well, so FinFan going to the medium, as well as Ryan ahead, but Cage and the Mercedes going to that hard tire, maybe trying to use the performance advantage of the Mercedes to pick up a little bit more.
Yeah,
They're all scrambling by now, picking a 3-second time penalty.
I really don't think that hard tire at this stage of the race is the right choice. That seems like a really poor decision, in my opinion. You took tires this long when you could have done undercut. Ooh, and Taylor and Saints, ooh. They have made contact and they spun.
Oh, no.
Taylor has wing damage. Taylor does have wing damage. So
I saw the end plate laying by the side of the track, so that
this is just going from bad to worse for Taylor.
It really is, unfortunately for him, just continuing to fall apart.
Well, this is just going to bring the championship right up close then. It wasn't that big of a gap, but surely Taylor's not going to be on for the greatest results anymore, so we'll just bring the championship right close again.
However, we still do have 17 laps of this race to run, as now ABR Burraps and Boss Cookie hitting the pit lane from the front. Cookie gets a 5-second time penalty for speeding, slapped by the policeman.
It doesn't even matter what pace Burraps has, he's just not getting any warnings or penalties unlike the others. And Brown Beer gets a 5-second penalty.
Indeed, it's very easy to do because Monza, the pit entry is literally right there off that final corner, and you're coming at it with a full head of steam. It really is, so you have to be so cautious because that can bite you, and honestly, it's just not worth trying to be that aggressive. Zampa moving up the order, but he has yet to pit on those medium tires, so he's going to be running deep into the race, possibly getting in the way of a few of these guys who've already made pit stops, like Boss Cookie, like FinFan, like Cage, Deer Hunter as well, in the Williams. As Cookie now makes a move around the outside of the Curva Grande, using the superior straight line speed of that Renault engine McLaren to overtake the Ferrari. Nice easy move into the second chicane. Zampa doesn't fight it too much. As currently the front four have yet to stop, as well as Zampa in P8. So possible 5 positions. ARS Zizou now leading the Grand Prix with Mean Fern directly behind him. Mean Fern picking up a 3-second time penalty, trying to follow the Racing Point. These two always seem to be just stuck together at the hip for some reason every week. They were last week. Boss Cookie another one, and FinFan another. Yeah, both picking up time penalties.
We need a pad out to start writing down these penalties. It's getting hard to remember who has penalties and who doesn't.
It really does, but hey, that's what we got the race director for. We'll check on that a little towards the end of the race to see what the situation is for any close battles. Really, this place is just so close. As Ryan now sets fast lap of the race at a 122.1. He's only about a second behind Burraps. Ryan could possibly be on to catch the race leader here.
He's on to burn lots of DRS, and so is Burraps. Burraps knows if Ryan gets DRS, he'll be on the whole race, most likely. DRS is just so powerful.
It is, however, Burraps does not have a penalty, and Ryan does. I don't know if he knows that. Poopalicious possibly in his ear telling him, hey, the guy behind's got a penalty. If he tries to go for a move, just let him have it and hang on to the back of him.
Ryan just barely takes the DRS, but he is 1.1 seconds back. DRS may not be enough to...
He doesn't have the DRS.
He doesn't?
No. Or if he does, it's not open.
Yeah, no, he closed.
And there's Burraps with a penalty. 3 seconds to Burraps, so it is level now, and we've got a yellow flag in sector 2.
Bro,
that's cleared now.
The midfield is so tight right now. This back straight, surely something could happen here. With Taylor in it and all, this is getting tight. And then Ute goes off.
He does right in front of Taylor, so Taylor has to break his momentum. That's going to allow Ritzy right up on the back of him, as well as ARS Sainz. Ritzy going to make it 3 wide down the back straightaway. This is all shaping up for some tasty action as Unknown cuts across behind the Mercedes into the Parabolica, so they all sort it out as they get down to that final corner. And of course, my wireless headset batteries decided.
McLaren and Unknown Ute, they have made contact. Sainz is now.
They have indeed. Unknown Ute is backwards on the front straightaway. He is still in the race, though, so we'll see if he gets... He resets the track. That's going to be a penalty for him.
Yeah, that...
Right in front of Oz Formula, who goes by.
Also, something to note, Ryan is well into that DRS, and he's now going to be able to start saving DRS. This is a real fight for the win.
This is indeed a fight for the win between the two Red Bull-backed cars. Can we see an AlphaTauri, just like in real life, take the win at Monza? Boy, would that be an upset. They've got the car, they've got the driver. Cookie picks up another 3-second time penalty behind him. I think that's
3-second time penalty, yes.
I think that's his third. I'm not sure if... I don't think FinFan served that 5-second time penalty, so currently he's sitting on 8 seconds. Cookie's sitting on 9. Or no, Cookie's actually sitting on 14 because Cookie got a speeding penalty too, didn't he?
He did, yeah. So he's got multiple seconds of time penalties.
Yeah, Cookie's sitting on 14 seconds of time penalties right now, as Ryan is now within 0.3 of the lead of the race. Can Ryan overtake Burraps?
Try to get Deer Hunter back in the session. Maybe a game glitch of some kind. Corco Masters, because he is still in the game, so that's a bit odd.
It is. To just put a point on that, roll Raggy. Sorry, I've had a few beers, so I'm a little drunk. I said I was going to do this drunk. Y'all didn't believe me. Anyway, so Ryan losing a little bit of time. He is still within DRS range as they come onto the second DRS straight. He is going to gain that a little bit of that time back, a couple of tenths. He really needs to be within about probably half a second down that front straightaway to make this work. He picks up about 0.4 down the back straightaway. Through Ascari, loses a little bit. Again, that Red Bull just, it handles a little bit better through the corners, but that AlphaTauri is just, it's got a rocket strap to the back of it apparently.
Yeah, what Ryan needs to do is he needs to try and limit his use of his overtake button, save us some ERS, and then eventually have a go at Burras, because Burras has half his battery remaining while Ryan's down only just above 10%, so. But he's within the 0.3 range now, so he definitely has the ability to save. He just needs to
big
be able to
lock
do
up there into turn 1. He's got to just ride there and maybe hope that Burras makes a mistake or charge that battery back up. Use the DRS to avoid it, as Taylor now resets fast lap at a 1:21.9. First man into the 21s in the race. He's currently running in P10, so he would get that extra point at this stage. We know Ryan is quick enough. Gets a bit of a dodgy run out of that second chicane there. So will he keep the DRS? As we've lost the interval there for a second, folks. I don't know if he's going to have DRS this time. We'll see if that rear wing slot pops open. It does, so he's within DRS range. Going to continue to ride up on the back of the Red Bull in front. The two sister cars going at it for the glory here in Italy.
Yeah, Ryan is saying to the Ferrari-powered cars, and just Ferrari in general, that if they are not going to win the home Grand Prix, then he will. So that's what he's trying to do here today.
Well, hey, it's an Italian-backed team, so hey, Italy is Italy. As Zizou and I didn't see who else picked up another 3-second time penalty. Not what they want to have happening. And now we're starting to get those gaps back here. We got a yellow flag in Sector 1. Looks like one of the Alfa Romeos have a bit of an issue there.
Yeah,
Rhodes, that's going to be Rhodes.
Rhodes is a lot closer to his teammate a lap ago, so he definitely made a half spin of some kind.
Indeed. Ryan only about 0.3 through the Curva Grande. He could just get him on slipstream right here, but I don't think he will. I think we know Ryan's smarter than that. He's going to break that slipstream on his own just to stay behind. Going to try to get a run out of the chicane. Loses about a half a second out of that chicane every lap. Through the Lesmos, he's going to lose a little more being stuck behind. He's going to be closer than he has been. He needs to use that DRS to get right up on the back of the Red Bull down this straightaway. This is the closest he's been in the last couple of laps. Meanwhile, further down the order, Unknown Ute gets by Joe, who goes into the pit lane. Nobody else really this close. Fern, Zizou, and Brown 3 are all pretty close at the moment for 7th place. Also right in the back of Zampa, but only a half second out of the Ascari chicane. This, I think, is this is Ryan's opportunity right here. This is his chance.
Yeah,
He's got to get a good
close.
run. He's got to get a good run out of Parabolica.
And
He lays
he did-
back. He loses time through the corner. He didn't get a good run through the corner.
Yep, he's turned off
That's
his
probably
overtake early.
gone.
Yep.
Yep. That's that chance gone.
It's
DRS.
smart to know. It's smart to know though whether you've got the chance then or not, so you don't burn away all your ERS only to become short just by a tenth or two. But it's good to save battery when you can.
Exactly. Every bit you can save helps. He is recharging that battery a little bit up to almost 40% as they exit that first chicane. However, Burap's at about 60%, so still a big gap, but he is just hounding the back of that Red Bull now. He's not letting him breathe at all, which is exactly what he needs to do. Personally, I'd always rather be the guy behind than the guy in front because there's so much pressure. Zizou drops a couple positions.
Oh yeah,
Looks like
there must have been some type of contact there.
Yeah, because he just went right backwards, and he's actually running less fuel than he needs to finish the race right now. You see the yellow box up on his. That's not smart at Monza.
Yeah, he is very marginal. He's about.
Not gonna lie, that's pretty borderline stupid at Monza, to be honest.
Yeah, no,
I hate to call out one of my own drivers. That's fucking stupid. Excuse my language.
Yeah, I would always run more fuel. There's hardly any tracks in this game compared to other games that you want to run less fuel. Maybe Monaco. And maybe Singapore, but that's about it. But he is marginal. He is rate marginal. He's only about half a tenth lap off on fuel right now, so he can definitely make it up, but just can't push the fuel as much.
No, you can't. Again, I'm gonna throw back to season 1. This was before you were ever around. I ran 7 laps of extra fuel here and came home less than 2 seconds from the race win at this very track. So. This is a track, yeah, you don't want to run maybe too much fuel, but you need to be able to use that rich mix and really extract the most out of the engine that you can at this particular racetrack because it is so high speed.
There's something Ryan has fallen off a little bit.
He has fallen off a little bit. Ryan gets another 3-second time penalty. Taylor is looking for a move on Threener for P6 right now. He's looking. Threener's defending. Not happening into the chicanes. Probably going to happen down that back straightaway. Taylor just right on the back of him. Crawling all over the back of that Alpha Tauri.
Yeah, Ryan's having used a lot of ERS here at the front.
Taylor locks up out through the second Lesmo. That's going to lose him some time, but I think he may still have a run. He may possibly still get him, but it's going to be kind of nip and tuck. Not quite going to get there down that second DRS straight. Going to try it down the front straightaway here in just a minute. Looking back up at the front here, Burap's and Ryan. Rainfern now gets a 3-second time penalty. They're getting into lap traffic. Everybody ghosted out, thankfully, but that is going to affect Burap's a little bit because he is going to be just visually obstructed by those cars.
There's some more visually obstructed though was Ryan. I was on board with Ryan. You could not see a thing through that first chicane. That was just guessing where to turn in. It was. He did it well though, Chris Burap, so that's good.
He did. Only a couple tenths behind, loses a little bit through the chicane. Again, he just doesn't quite seem to be able to maintain through that chicane like he needs to. Taylor looking for a move on Threener out of the first chicane, actually. Not quite going to happen there. He's on the button trying to keep right up on the back of that Alpha Tauri. Going to maybe look to the outside through the Curva Grande.
A little bit of contact.
Just a little bit. Taylor on the inside. He's going to get the spot.
Yep, Brownbeer had to cut the corner a bit to avoid contact there. But cutting the corner, taking a warning is better than being spun around, so.
Definitely is. So that is going to give Taylor about 10 seconds of clear track up to his teammate. Brown Threener picking up another 3-second time penalty there. He's going to continue to just drop down the order doing that. I think Meanfern only has the 1 penalty, so currently of this bunch, he is, I think, sitting the best at the moment between Threener, Zizou, and himself. Looking back up towards the front, Ryan right on the back again of Burap's. How many laps is he going to sit there behind that Red Bull before he finally decides, okay, we got to go here? Cookie now with another 3-second time penalty. It's just going from bad to worse. He may even lose the spot to Threener's out.
Yep.
Threener's out. What happened? Exit of the Parabolica. We're going to ride along with Oz Formula in P10 or P11 here.
He must have just
bended into the wall. A la Leclerc there.
No BAC or safety car, it seems.
Very interesting. loses it a la Leclerc right under the Aramco sign. And that's going to elevate Oz Formula into the points, so the Ferrari at least is not going to come away with nothing tonight in their home Grand Prix. Ooh, and Meanfern locks up there, so that's going to allow Zizou right back into his DRS range. So this battle continues to rage between these two, as it does every week, it seems. Looking back down the field, that's really the only close battle at this stage, aside from the battle for the lead. Ryan losing just a little bit again through that final corner. He needs to be within about a half a second to make this move work. Fortunately for Burraps, he is on 1 lap fresher tires than the car behind, and Taylor is probably not going to be able to get much more than P6 right now unless penalties play into it. His teammate's about 9.5 seconds up the road, and then a further 5 seconds up the road is #1 FinFan in the racing points, so I think he's pretty much set, maybe get 5th if he's lucky, or if team orders come into play here for the championship. So Burraps going to claw back a good chunk of points at probably at least maybe 8, maybe 10, possibly 15. As now Zizou's actually gotten around Meanfern. We missed that. That's interesting. So Zizou, despite being marginal on fuel, is definitely showing he's not licked yet. The Renault behind is going to have DRS. He's about 9/10 back from the racing point, but he is almost out of that DRS range and really not closing up too much. He closes up a lot under braking. The Renault is very good under brakes, apparently, but he loses time through the corner as Fern now runs wide on the exit of the Ascari chicane. He's now outside that DRS range. You got to imagine that Zizou's going to streak off in the distance with that power advantage he's got now. Meanwhile, back up towards the front, #1 FinFan trying to keep it clean. I think he knows that he's in a good position to possibly finally break onto that podium in the racing point tonight. He knows that Cookie's going to have a lot of penalties ahead of him. Cookie is just kind of, like I said, another penalty as we speak of it. Commentator's curse right there for Cookie. He gets bit by that more than anybody, it appears like. That's another penalty. Chandler, can you give us a total on Cookie's penalties right now?
I will try. The game is really bad. Tell me what he actually has. It just is invalidated lap a lot of time. But it looks like he's got.
Well, ignore the ones that say invalidated lap. Look at the one there should be on the race director.
Well, yeah, the invalidated lap should be the 3-second time penalties. It seems, but looks like he's.
No, it'll just say penalty.
Yeah, no, it doesn't say that because otherwise he only has 6 seconds of penalties. But judging by his warnings, judging by his warnings though, he's got 3, 6, 9, 12 seconds of penalty. He's looking at 17 seconds of time penalties right now. A yellow flag, sector 3 for Joe. Must have made a mistake at the end of the Ascari.
Alright folks, sorry about that short interruption there. The headset actually died, so I'm now plugged in, hardwired, charging this thing, so that won't happen again for the rest of the race, although it may be a little difficult because I'm a little bit far away from the TV. So, Chandler, do we have a rough total on what Cookie's penalty total is right now?
Yeah, he's got 17 seconds of time penalties, so
Okay.
He is loaded with penalties.
He is, in fact. Do we know? FinFan's roughly, I think, at 8 seconds still. I don't think he's gotten another one since the pit stop, and he's only got the one on track time penalty as well.
Yep, it looks like he's on 2 warnings, 1 more until his third 3-second time penalty.
Even if he does get that, it's going to be hard pressed. He's looking pretty solid for P3 right now, even with all of that, because Cookie would have to have a 9-second gap, and we're currently only 4 laps from home. Looking back up at the front, Ryan is still about half a second back from Burapps. He's just not able to get close enough, it looks like, to really make it happen.
It's really looking unlikely to make a move. Just the Red Bull carries too much speed in the second sector. Just it makes it where he can pull the gap close by the time he gets to turn 1, but just not close enough.
Indeed, he needs to be about, like I said, I've been saying it all night, half a second's about the gap. You need to make a move on a car that's got the same engine with the DRS here. Looking back, Taylor has actually closed down the gap to his teammate to about 6.5 seconds, so he's pulled about 3 seconds on him since the last time we checked, and Cage has actually lost a little bit of time to FinFan ahead. Looking back down the order, Zizou has started to pull out a gap on me in front of about 1.5 seconds now, so not a huge gap, but just enough to keep him out of DRS range. Closest battle on track at the moment aside from lead is ARS Sainz. Actually closing up on the back of Joe. Sainz went to the hard tire, it looks like. So not the optimal tire. Or did he have to make a second pit stop? No, he's only on... No, yeah, he did. He made a second pit stop, as did Oz Formula.
Yes, because he was in that last corner incident, I believe it was, where he got wind damage with the Haskell and MU, so that led to him pitting immediately after going out on mediums.
Oh, interesting. So, speaking of which, here Oz Formula actually going for a move on the inside as they head up towards the Parabolica. He's going to slot in front of the McLaren and behind the Williams and probably dispatch that Williams down the front straightaway or into the first corner with the DRS. And Oz Formula actually setting fast lap of the race there. Who would have thought a Ferrari could have set fast lap here after that engine nerf that they got? Little bit of contact. Ooh,
Joe just locked up and just went straight into it. It looks like a mistake for the Williams. And in the end, it caused Oz Formula a warning or even just a full 3-second time penalty there.
He did get a 3-second time penalty. So that will likely be under review. Not sure totally what happened there. Have to see their perspectives of it. I didn't see any smoke from Joe's car for locking up, but we know how this game can be and not displaying things correctly.
Ryan is now very much on fuel. He's actually just ticking under 27 complete laps of fuel, so that might limit how much you can push in the last lap to potentially have a shot at just getting near Barras again.
Indeed.
Of course, the win is pretty much out of his hands now, but maybe just a shot at leading the race could have been on the cards.
It's not totally out of the question, however. P2 is pretty much a lock for him. Boss Cookie going to slide right back down the order as Ryan picks up another one.
Another 3. So yeah, that will steal his fate.
So Ryan probably just best, as you see him weaving down the back straightaway, kind of saying, okay, yep, I'm done. Yep, you got it. Have fun.
He's just picking up his usual podiums in that AlphaTauri though, so he's done what is needed this race.
Indeed. That car... He's a hell of a driver, but that car is not quite what he needs to win races. He can get very, very close, as we've seen multiple times already this season, but just not quite close enough. So now we are on to the final lap of this race. When they come around this next time, we're going to see how all these penalties shake out. Currently on track, looks like ABR Burapps and New Zealand Ryan, they're going to likely have P1 and P2 locked down, no issues there. The question is, who's going to end up where behind them? And we're not going to attempt to do all that math on the fly, folks. There are a lot of penalties to fly around here. And that honestly, it's too late at night for my brain to do. Oh, Unknown Ute getting very sideways there. You see on camera after picking up that 3-second time penalty off the second Lesmo. He is a lap down to the leaders just in front of Boss Cookie here. But we're not going to attempt to be doing all that math here. I'm too tired for that. I don't know about you, Chandler, but I'm not about to try
it's just not possible.
No.
360 seconds of extra time penalties probably for not a chance.
Yeah, there's too much going on here. So
But
looking here at ABR Burraps, he does pick up the race win over New Zealand Ryan. A valiant second place finish. Looking at Boss Cookie coming up to the line here. This is going to be the man we watch for the podium. Currently in P3. Where's he going to end up?
It looks like FinFan will take the P3.
FinFan does pip him, so the Racing Point driver finally picks up that all-important podium. Boss Cookie hangs on to P4 as Cage comes on P5, and then Taylor jumps him on penalties. Only a half second.
Yeah, almost getting Cookie there.
Almost does, so I called it. P5 was the best he could do. ARS Zizou to the line is going to hold P7 over Mean Fern, it looks like. And then Broken Reptile in P9. SSR Zampa is going to come down towards the line. Oh, we got a fight for P11 right here. This could be possibly important for the points. Looks like Oz Formula and Ritzy going at it here. Oz Formula on the better tire.
And the two Williams were battling. Joe just
Oz Formula up to the line. Not going to have enough steam to get there. Not going to matter for points anyway. ARS Science up to P12 jumps Oz Formula in the final order. And then we're going to have the two Williams of Deer Hunter and Joe. As Joe getting very sideways out of the parabolica there.
Yeah, Joe cooked up his tires. He got spun on the end of a Scary wing to the wall, actually, but didn't chop off any of his wings, surprisingly.
Interestingly. So, driver of the day for the game goes to Mean Fern, picking up several spots. Who is your driver of the day, Chandler?
There's a few performances out there, but I would say let's go to FinFan there, and only because he had that first lap where he fell back a little bit, and then just not really hurt from much that whole race. He just kept going and job done. Even with that 5-second time penalty, he was able to bring it back to the podium. So I would say that's worth enough for a driver of the day.
Well, mine has got to go to the man you see on screen there, spraying everybody with champagne, ABR Burraps, holding Ryan off the entire race to claim victory here. That man is not easy to defend from, and Burraps just pulled off probably the defense of the year to hold him back. So there you see your final running order. Cookie with 20 seconds worth of time penalties at the end of the race. Fastest lap of the race going to Oz Formula, so nobody's going to get that extra point for the fast lap because he finished in P13. But Ferrari still picking up a point for SSR Zampa's P10. So this is going to shake things up at the top of the Drivers' Championship here as Taylor Clan finishes in P5 with Burraps winning the race. That is going to be a 15-point swing in the favor of the Red Bull driver. So things tightening up as we get into this last leg of the season. Chandler, you have any final comments about the race tonight?
It was just a race of avoiding penalties, and in the end, that is what proved the gain positions or lose positions. That really was the big thing today. So Singapore next week could also turn out like that. There's tons of corners that could be cut too. So I think going into the next race and going off what we saw today, penalties is the big thing for the next races.
Indeed, penalties playing a big factor in these races as always. We are going to try to get all these guys in here for the podium interviews momentarily and see how their nights were from their perspectives. Provided I can find them. Fortunately, two of them in my friends list are right next to each other. So that makes it relatively easy. And just looking for ABR Burraps. I don't believe I have him on this particular account. So if you could please grab him for me.
Who is it you need?
Burraps, our race winner.
Burraps, yes. There we go.
All right, so we now have all three of our podium finishers for the Italian Grand Prix for the Realistic League in BRL here in the party. We're going to start with Chandler. Do we want to go up or down tonight?
Seems like an
Start
appropriate
from
answer.
P3.
All right, well, we're going to start off with P3. We're going to start with one of my drivers, number one FinFan72. Buddy, you finally got that podium you've been chasing after ever since you got in that car. How do you feel?
In the words of Kimi Räikkönen, USA 2018, fucking finally. Yeah, I didn't think I'd get the podium because penalties, but other people had more penalties, so I just kind of drove my race. I just avoided penalties, avoided tire wear at the end, and it just came to me. When Taylor made multiple mistakes, that outpaced that second Mercedes, and Cookie doesn't know how to keep it on the track, and it came to me. So,
well,
so,
hey,
yeah,
sometimes just keeping it on the island's all you need to do. You did a great job of that tonight. Start was a little bit hairy. You had me a little bit worried.
Oh, that's true. The Ferrari decided not to give me a car's width, but in the end, that really didn't matter. I really didn't care because at least I didn't get spun around. At least I kept it straight. That's all I cared about right there. And then people fought in front of me, and I just kind of let the race come to me.
Indeed. I told you it would. Both of you, it would come to you as the race went on. Moving on, Chandler. Talk
May I
about
ask
P2
where
finisher.
Zaizu finished?
He, I believe, finished P7.
Okay, thank you.
All right, then let's move on to Ryan. Another podium again. Kind of getting used to this in the AlphaTauri. You almost did a Gasly. Do you think that was possible, or was it more of just trying to stay in the DRS there?
Well, when I first got on the DRS, I was just using him to get away from Cookie. But then I thought maybe I could do a Gasly, but it was a very, very sweaty last 10 laps trying to keep in that DRS. The dirty air and that boat of a car, but yeah, take it.
Yeah, so it's kind of becoming a regular occurrence to see you up here in the AlphaTauri. You just always capitalize on other people's mistakes, like Taylor's today. Is it possible that we see you on the podium again next week in Singapore then?
I would hope so. It's one of my better tracks. I don't know how that car goes around there, so we'll see.
Okay, well, there really is nothing else to talk about. I mean, it's just always the normal fast pace we always see from you in the AlphaTauri. So hopefully we see that again next week, maybe battling the front cars again. It would be much tougher, of course, but you never know what could happen. So that was a good race from you today.
Cheers.
All right, and now to our race winner, ABR Burraps 19. Man, you had to hold off one of the best right there to get that win in New Zealand, Ryan. You did it for most of the race. Talk us through your night and having to just hold that guy behind you.
They said it couldn't be done. They said Taylor would win tonight, and he made a mistake that cost him the race. So I'm pretty pleased to be on the top step. No, I mean, look, Ryan's one of the best out there. I was just happy to be in the same company as him up at the front, to be honest. And he definitely put me under some pressure. I thought he was going to go for a move, but checking the time penalties later on seemed like he was a little bit further back on that than I was. So, yeah, I mean, I'll definitely take that. Didn't think Red Bull would be on the top step today, but definitely a good result for the team.
All right. Any final comments, gentlemen?
I'd like to point out, I don't know if you guys said it on the stream, but if you didn't include Burraps, it was AlphaTauri McLaren Racing Point. Kind of a coincidence.
You're right.
GG's, by the way, Ryan. That was an unreal battle.
Yeah.
All we needed was
with
for the
also a
Racing Point.
Mercedes also a Mercedes that was fighting back after being way down the order.
This is very true. All we needed, the only thing we were missing, and Cody's, you need to put in some engine failures here and there, just at random.
DNS.
All we needed was the lead,
Is
the
someone
lead
even
Red Bull to
declared it?
blow up.
I think the other AlphaTauri declared it out of the Parabolica.
He did. He did.
This race was like so.
Three-ner-
I was thinking it the whole race. I'm like, this is so reminiscent.
I know.
I was like, Ryan's
Like,
gonna win this thing
seriously.
like Gasly, isn't he?
That was legit about as close to the actual Italian Grand Prix result as we could have gotten, folks. I mean, barring Burap's engine just spontaneously combusting right there, we had a car just lunch it off the Parabolica. We had, in that order, crossing the line, an AlphaTauri, a McLaren, and a Racing Point in second, third, and fourth behind said Red Bull that should have launched its engine, and a Mercedes driving back through the field. So, life imitates art, or in this case, sim racing imitates real racing. Folks, this has been Chandler Seda 1 and Ferrari 94, aka BRL Williams, for the BRL Breakout Racing League. That was just a nutty race. I don't think I've seen, aside from maybe Tier 3 last week in Hungary, I don't think I've seen a race that crazy in a while.